Welcome to the Pathways to Careers Conference. As you all know from the publicity and from your registration, this is a one-day conference. It's targeted toward educators from the Dallas, North Texas area. And the folks that are targeted for this conference are people who are teaching somewhere in the computer field, so computer science, information technology, related fields that we teach at all of our different institutions. So we're pleased to have educators here. We also have some other folks who are joining us to help with that conversation. We have some students that are here today, some people from business and industry, people who are going to do some breakout sessions for us, et cetera. So you will get to meet some of those additional people as we go through the day. The overall philosophy behind the Accelerator project is that we can impact students in a variety of ways, and one of those is to increase those conversations between the educators from different kinds of institutions so that you all can share with each other, learn from each other, figure out what you have in common, what your differences are, how you can support each other as we're all working toward a common goal of trying to increase both the number of students that will go into computer-related professions and the diversity of the students that are doing that, as well as then to increase the persistence of those students such that they actually go through and complete the credentials that are going to allow them to successfully enter into the workforce and do well once they get into the workforce. So we're trying to think about all the ways that that can happen. And so one of the targets of that is to say if we can increase the strength of the relationships between the educators, the depth of the conversations that are going on, then that is one way that we can have an impact on what's happening with that, what's often termed the pipeline toward these different kinds of careers. So this conference is not really focused on particular details of curriculum or even policy and procedure, but rather on having the educators and others in the room really think about what some of the possible barriers to student success are, about the challenges that new graduates might face when they enter the workforce in these computer careers, and about figuring out additional ways that educators might actually learn from others in ways that impact their own teaching. So we're going to try to make this conference relatively personal to you so that as an educator, the educators will be able to hear what's going on here and say, that really tells me something that might affect something I want to do in my own teaching, in my own classes. So that's where the guidance came for what we were trying to accomplish by bringing you together today. So the STEM degree accelerator, as I mentioned, has that part of it of bringing faculty together. I thought I would take just a second to tell you about the other pieces of that project. The STEM degree accelerator kind of has two parts. One part of it is the development of a website called STEM Insight, and we're calling it STEM Insight 2.0. There is a 1.0 that was developed as a just initial model to help students in middle and high school figure out ways that they might be able to get started towards some higher education coming to the Dallas County community colleges. And the STEM Insight 2.0 is going to have lots and lots of additional resources. But in conjunction with what we're talking about here for the STEM Degree Accelerator, it is very regionally focused. So STEM Insight 2.0 is for people in the Dallas, North Texas region. And it will provide not only information at this point for middle school and high school students and thinking about the DCCCD, but we're expanding that to include a lot more educational institutions. It now includes information about all of the community colleges in the area, all the universities in the area, the opportunities that students might have in that. It includes some information for educators. There will be discussion forums that could be used by educators. There will be resources for professionals. And probably the thing that I am most excited about in the whole thing, we're going to be trying really hard to put together a master calendar for all things STEM in the region. So seminars, outreach events, activities for everyone from, again, middle school all the way through practicing professionals, that you would be able to go to one location, find what it is you're looking for, and then get to what you were aiming for. And I always tell people, I found that a challenge when I came here about 3.5 years ago. I'm actually a neuropharmacologist by training, and so I actually really love to attend some seminars in my specialty area. I'm one of those people who just loves to learn some new things, even though I'm working mostly with administrative stuff right now. But to do that, I had to go separately to the website for UNT and for UTD and for SMU, and to see what seminars were happening. And we're going to try to put all of those things, drawing from the calendars that everybody has at their home colleges and universities and schools and all the professional organizations, put it in one place so that you'll be able to find what you're looking for. So that website will be ready within the next couple of days. It was supposed to be ready by today. We're running a little bit behind, too bad. So I was hoping really to give you direct connections to forums and so forth, but we're running a few days behind. There were a few glitches. You know how that goes. So that's one part of the accelerator, and you all will get an email shortly after this conference as soon as it is time for everyone to plunge in and start using this. So we hope you will be some of our first users of that and help us to get the word out that it's coming. And then I also mentioned the faculty professional development side of it. That's really bringing these interactions together. You're going to hear later on from groups that are called vertical teams, so I'll tell you more about those a little bit later. We've done a couple of additional workshops for educators. We had one in September at the AT&T Foundry. We had an industry panel in October. Today we're trying to bring together a larger group in today's convening. We're also trying to help facilitate the development of a network in this region, an association of the North Texas Centers for Teaching Excellence. So again, we were finding that lots of great things were happening at different colleges and universities and even in the K-12 system, but that people weren't necessarily sharing their resources and communicating about that. And so there are several groups, and we are helping with that along with others in putting together that association so that all the educators might have access to more resources than they had otherwise. So that's basically what the accelerator is all about. So with that brief introduction about what brought us here and what's supporting us here for today, I want to get us started with our keynote speaker for today. We're very, very pleased to have Dr. Valerie Taylor with us. She is the Senior Associate Dean of Academic Affairs in the College of Engineering and a named professor in the Department of Computer Science and Engineering at Texas A&M University. She has a very large list of accomplishments, which are shown in your program, so please read through those and learn more about her. I'm just going to highlight a couple of things as we introduce her here. Dr. Taylor has lots of articles out there. She's co-authored over 100 papers in the area of high-performance computing. So she's also the executive director of the Center for Minorities and People with Disabilities in IT. And she's been recognized for her leadership in the area of bringing more diversity to computer science and engineering fields. And so we thought, therefore, that she would be an ideal person to get us started in our conversations for today. So please help me in welcoming Dr. Taylor up to the podium.
Thank you very much, Peggy, for the warm introduction. And it is indeed an honor and a pleasure to be here today. So with respect to my talk, I thought I'd give you a little bit of background about me, talk about some data. I think that's the engineering side of me. I have to have a few plots and data. But then talk about some interventions, really from a diverse perspective. And so for me, and just to give you a little background in computer science and my interest in computing, K through 8, I was outside playing jumping rope, double dutch, playing hide and go seek. It wasn't where I was truly engaged in computing with K through 8. However, I also want to mention that my father is an engineer. And so he exposed us to circuits at a young age just by going to work with him on Saturdays. However, well, let me ask, who has ever worked with this? Okay. The punch card. Brings back memories. With a box of cards that you had to number, so you made certain your program worked well. So I had high school, I had the punch cards. It was really great. It was exciting. At that time in high school, we had the computer that was at the hospital next door. Okay, so I know I'm dating myself, but this was before the personal computer. So we just had the big mainframe. We didn't have it in high school, so we didn't have a computer lab in high school. We had the computer next door where we could run our programs once a week, and then we get our printout, after that. And so it was really good, but we got a chance to learn the program Fortran. And for me, that was really exciting as to what you could do with software. I also had a chance to participate at IIT because I'm from Chicago, so I grew up in Chicago. And my parents had me participate in a Saturday program that was an exposure to engineering. So this goes back to a after school, well, it wasn't really after school, but it was Saturday. And so I was really excited about the program, mainly because of the social aspect. You went there, everybody told you where the parties were that night, and so we were supposed to be building a car, to take an egg from point A to point B. But my group, we were social, we planned our Saturday night activities, and then it turned out our car, we said, let's just put a big rubber band on the car and have it go from point A to point B. But we actually came in second place, so it was pretty good. But it made it fun because of the social. And then I'll say I graduated with a bachelor's degree from Purdue, and so I'll call this is my posse from undergraduate programs. And that is to say it took a group to get through computer science, computer engineering at the undergraduate level, and we were all happy to graduate together. It was really phenomenal. So it's this perspective that I'm going to bring to bear in terms of the talk. But first, I always like to start with a little bit of data. And so this data is taken from a survey that was done by Google in conjunction with Gallup. And so the surveys is available on the web, and this is part of a 3-year effort. So this is year 2. So they have documents from the first year, which was 2015. They also published documents from year 2, and I'm providing the data from year 2, which is 2016, and then they're having a 3-year, so that way they can look at some trends in terms of this multi-year. And so given that I'm focused on diversity, so it's from that perspective with respect to the data. So the students and who was involved with the survey, so they had over 16,000 people involved, but it's from different groups. They had students, so they had Black, Hispanic, also parents, teachers, principals, a large number of principals at different schools, and that's K through 12, and also superintendents as well of different school districts. And again, the focus was on computer science. So first, to talk about perceptions and to get some of the results there. So it's very interesting when you look at the parents. So 84% of the parents say that computer science is at least as important as the other required courses of math, science, history, or English. However, and this is the interesting part, it was only 60% of the administrators and teachers that would say computer science should be required. So I want to just do a little survey here, and I like interaction. So how many schools require computer science? Okay. How many schools for which computer science is just being offered new within the past year? Okay. And then how many schools where computer science has been offered in the last 5 years? Okay. Thank you. That gets. And then also with respect to the data, it was interesting too, and this is where they're looking at the trend. So when they talked about principals, where they said they have a computer science class, at first in year one, it was only 25%. But it's really good to see that that's creeping up, that now it's at least 40%. So it's interesting when you start to look at computation. So what comes to mind when you think about computing? If someone says, why should I consider a computing class? What would you say? Not everybody at one time. Slow down, slow down.
Because the world is run by computers.
The world is run by computers. Growth of the industry. What was that again?
Teachers you how to think.
Oh, teachers.
It really teaches you how to think.
Teachers teach, it really teaches you how to think with the computational thinking. Is that it? Okay. 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 And then I think a person in a black shirt with glasses.
He pretty much said what I was saying. Teachers organize thought.
Okay. And right here.
Do you want a job?
And move out of the house, right?
Because it's fun.
It is. It is. Okay. Others. Okay. And so it's interesting too when we think about computation. Oftentimes, students think about the chip, and they may think about the computer. But when you start to look at things, for example, computing is used now in real estate. As was mentioned, it's running the world. It's used in so many areas that you have this company called Compass that's looking at end-to-end use of computing infrastructure to help decrease the time that real estate agents have to do in terms of preparing for a visit or preparing for an open house. You also have it being used a great deal, and it's increasing in the financial area. And that's with blockchain, so that they can keep up with the transactions that are occurring and take out a lot of the middle people that actually cost a transaction to be expensive. Then I think I wanted to bring up also the digital humanities. And that's because oftentimes students don't think about the fact that they read a great deal in terms of digital books. And actually, so it's interesting when you talk to students about a digital book, they often don't associate that with computer science. And then I put the clothing industry, because a hot area in graphics now is how to have clothes to lay on a person graphically, where you take into account the different material. Polyester will lay different than silk. And so if you're having something online where a person can enter their size and different aspects, and you want to try something on virtually, how will the clothes flow virtually? So it's all of these hot topics. Then another area is digital music. And I think many of them think about the digital music because of their iPhones or smartphones, where they actually have a lot of the music. And no one knows about records or LPs or 45s or 33s. They just look at you and go, did you download it? So gone are the days when you go to the record store and look through the album covers. But it's really interesting, I think, and also mentioning that it's fun. So that part becomes exciting about students, such that they do feel excited about what they're doing, and that becomes important. So if we spend a little time talking about access and exposure. And so that is looking at Blacks and Hispanic students have less exposure to computers. So asking the question about an adult in your life who works with computers, you can see is 68% for white, 65% for Black, but only 49% for Hispanic. When asked the question, how often do you use a computer at your school, you're seeing 31% for Hispanic versus 42% for white. And in a typical week, how often do you use a computer? and looking at every day, at some point, it was only 26% for Hispanic, 30% for Black, but 45% for white. Then, also what the study found, and that is that Black students are less likely to have access to computer science classes in school. And so you can see for the first graph where it's only the computer science course, so it's a computer science course. And oftentimes in a computer science course, you're really focused on the programming. Other parts, you may have some classes that may incorporate some aspect of some programming or some aspect of simulation in a course. Like I've seen it with physics, where sometimes you'll have a physics class that will use a digital book that includes some of the simulations in there. So let me ask here, how many schools have only a CS class? Just, I know before I asked in the last 5 years, but just to get a show of hands, how many have a CS class that's devoted to CS? Okay. And if you can tell me, what topics do you teach in your class? Is it primarily programming? Is it data structures, algorithms? Okay. Programming? Okay. Oh, I think in the back, what was it? All of the above? Okay.
We also have the new Computer Science Principles course, which is only, half programming, the other half is looking at all these big ideas.
Right, related to the computational thinking. Mhm. Interesting. And then how many have computing as part of another course? Okay.
Information technology.
Okay. And what do you teach in that course? Just
We teach the overarching principles, the growth of the market, future possibilities and trends, and then we go into web design, we go into hardware, software. We just go over a lot of different things.
And as I get toward the end of the talk, I'm also going to talk about projects as well, because that'll be interesting. Then, if we look at this, and that is Black and Hispanic students are more likely to learn computer science outside of the classroom and after school clubs. And so you can see, if you look at toward the left end of your right, okay. If you look at the far right, you're seeing where with Black and Hispanics, the percentages are much higher when you get to a group, a club, or form a group outside of school. And so, and that's where oftentimes it's not in the school, but still having those programs outside of school becomes really important. And I just want to mention, for me, that was really the case. But after school also provided a social aspect as well as a learning aspect. And I think that part is important. Because oftentimes I know as a student, when I'm in the classroom, it's hard to say class is fun, but you go because you're focused on the academics. But after school, it becomes a little more relaxed and a little more social. So, and here also looking at gender, and that was girls are less aware of the computer science opportunities in terms of on the internet and local community. And that is looking at the difference between boys and girls, and that is, are you aware, if you look to your far right, and that is, are you aware of specific websites where you could learn computer science? And let me ask this question. How many, in terms of the schools, are you accessing some online material in terms of your classes? Just in general. Okay. And how much do you encourage students outside of class to do things online? Okay. Very interesting. And here, and this is where we have that boys are more likely to have learned computer science on their own. And so when we look at this and we look at the difference in terms of in the class, and this, if you see the second one on your own, you're seeing the big difference with the 54% for boys as compared to 41% for girls. If you look at it in terms of the online access, That's the 44% for boys versus 31% for girls. So it's very interesting in terms of with boys and girls, but there's a lot of literature behind this because oftentimes boys will engage in parallel play, and so having the access and doing things on the internet where you're a single person accessing the community in that way, boys are more likely. Girls are more likely to do things in a group, and that is where it's in a social setting in person and be engaged in terms of that group. So it's a lot of literature too behind the interaction in the social with respect to boys and girls. But I wanted to bring up a couple of things. So I think it's really great. You have the packets with NC WIT, and so there, NC WIT has done a great deal, and I know there are two counselors here about NC WIT. So NC WIT is the National Center for Women in IT. And NC WIT has been around quite some time, and they have developed a great deal of material to encourage more women to go into computing. I also want to bring up in terms of, how many have heard of Black Girls Code? Okay, really great. So Black Girls Code is an organization too, where they're in different cities, and so they have volunteers to work to organize events to encourage more Black girls to be engaged with developing software. And that's where they have the events and they bring the girls together to code to solve particular problems. It's been really great and to see it taking off with the Black Girls Code. Then I want to bring up the Boys and Girls Clubs, because many of the Boys and Girls Clubs also have activities that encourage computing as well. Then, and let me ask, who has heard of DevColor? Okay. Okay, good. Okay. So DevColor, I thought I would bring up things that may not be well known, but DevColor is an organization where Black software engineers got together and started a nonprofit, and what they do with that nonprofit is to look at mentoring each other. And so it's really good when you look at higher ed or you're looking in K through 12, as students start to work on different software projects, there are these different communities that they can join in the area of software and in the area of computing. And you have the online communities, but you also have local communities, and that makes it really great. Then you also have your organizations, and I just give one organization, and that's the Society of Hispanic and Professional, the Society of Hispanic Professional Engineers, or SHIP. So SHIP, an excellent organization, they also bring about different K through 12 programs. You have other organizations such as the National Society of Black Engineers, the Society of Women Engineers, and so with those organizations, there's a great deal of outreach. And I just want to take a quick survey. How many schools have interacted with one of those organizations of SHIP, NSBE, SWE, and there's also MIAS or SACNAS? Okay. And I bring up those organizations because many of them, they have student chapters. And the student chapters, the local student chapters are often looking for outreach activities. So if you have an opportunity, you may want to reach out to the local university with the student chapter, because they're always looking at ways to establish the partnerships with K through 12 programs, and it's really great. And let me just talk a little bit about encouragement. Okay. And so here, what the study showed was that boys received more encouragement than girls from teachers, and that was 1.5, from parents, 1.7, and media. And that is looking at the images that you have in media when it comes to computing. I know I'm so glad, well, we're moving away, but we still have images. You know, how often do you see the image of the computer person as the person that's asked to hack into a system to give somebody some information? You kind of go, that's not all what we do. But it's you know, so you want to see images of computing where people live day-to-day lives. They're actually impacting society in terms of the software that they're developing. They're bringing together communities. It could be visualization. It could be looking at science. It's all of these different things that are done with computing. But oftentimes the image that's given is that of someone that's hacking into a system to give somebody some particular information that they shouldn't have access to, with a whole bunch of cans of Coke in the background. And we drink water, so it's okay. So with respect to encouragement, I want to talk about a conference, especially in terms of diversity, and that's the Richard Tapia Celebration of Diversity in Computing Conference. And so it's sponsored by the Association of Computing Machinery, but it's presented by the Center for Minorities and People with Disabilities in IT, or what we call, it has the letter CMD-IT, but in CMD in computing is command, so we call it commanded. And so with this particular conference, it is the celebration of diversity. So we celebrate it. It's a great opportunity in terms of connecting with others and building communities. You can obtain advice and be inspired. So, for example, for the last conference, which was held in Austin, there were about 1,000 attendees, and it's about 65% students, undergraduate and graduate students. But it's really great because from the surveys, the students often note that after attending the Tapia conference, they feel inspired to stay in computing, because then at the conference, we're very intentional about our speakers. So we make certain the speakers, the invited speakers, are diverse, and that the students get a chance to see diverse speakers and have a chance to talk to them, ask them about their career paths, but really be engaging and truly be inspired. So it's a wonderful conference, and it's really exciting. We also have industry and faculty, and they talk about going there and actually having a community. And so it's an annual conference. Next year this year is being held in September in Atlanta. A complementary conference is focused on women in computing. And that's the Grace Hopper Celebration of Women in Computing. And so with the Grace Hopper Celebration of Women in Computing, for the past 2 years, it's been held in Houston. In this past year, there were 17,000 attendees at the Grace Hopper Conference. So you go there, you are truly inspired. You cannot say you don't see another woman in computing at the Grace Hopper Conference. So you see students, you see faculty, you see industry, and it's really great. And the two conferences work together to make certain that we don't conflict in dates, but we attend each other's conferences. Is really a great opportunity in terms of the diversity with respect to minorities. And the Tapia Conference also features a lot with students with disabilities, and also with respect to women with the Grace Hopper Conference. So those are really good in terms of universities to have students attend those conferences and come back inspired. So now I just want to talk a little bit about interest and confidence. And we'll first start off with boys and girls, and that is boys are more interested and more confident in learning computer science. So you can see the difference in terms of when asked the question, how interested are you in learning computer science, you have very, which is 34% for boys, but 16% for girls. And confidence is 65% for boys, but 48% for girls. When you break it down in terms of ethnicity, that's where it's very interesting. Blacks and Hispanic students are more interested in computer science, and their parents also believe that they will learn computer science. So it's very interesting when you break down the question in terms of the ethnicity, where you're seeing how interested are you in learning computer science. For Black students, it's 31%. Hispanics, it's at 35% with the very category. Parents, how likely is it that your child will learn some computer science in the future? For white students, 24, just looking at the very category. Blacks, 35%, Hispanic, 53%. So there's that strong encouragement with respect to the parents. So I just want to take a few moments to ask the question. When you look at these images, and you're seeing the images as cornrows in terms of the braiding of hair, what topic do you think the students are learning?
Computer science.
3D modeling, computer science?
Neural network.
Whoa. Okay. So this is a tool, it's called Culturally Situated Design Tools, and that's the website. It's developed by Ron Eglash at RPI, and it's actually targeting middle school students to teach geometry, okay? Where you're teaching dilation, you're teaching curvature, and so you're teaching all these different aspects in terms of geometry to actually generate a braid. How much are you dilating with each one? So I'm just gonna go around. Here, you're seeing the braid with the curvature. And here, you're seeing a dilation. It can also be used with teaching computer science, because now you can program it to say how many braids you want, so that way you don't have to do it manually. So it's a really great tool. But here's the exciting part, I think, and that is when learning a topic such as math or computer science, it allows the student to bring your background, his or her background, to that topic, such that you're not just learning it in isolation, because oftentimes the issue that comes up with students, and we see it, you know, in higher ed, why do I have to learn that topic? And you saying, oh, it'll be useful when, and they're going, but it's not useful now. And so having culturally responsive pedagogy or culturally responsive projects to really engage students in terms of learning a topic can actually go a long way in terms of that encouragement, because then students can see that application of that particular concept in their everyday life. So another example, for example, in developing the first, let's say, programming class, we had a contest for students. And we said, you know, what would you want the first project to be that would be engaging for you? And they came up with the idea of having a system around music. And they said that way we could bring in the music that we like. And then they also talked about, we asked the question, what about students with disabilities? And they said, well, we could also have a system that heightens the vibrations such that someone who is hearing impaired can also feel the music. So it was really exciting to bring up something that was engaging the students, that allowed them to bring their background to bear in terms of their projects. So, and let me continue, because I was going to stop and ask a question, but I'll just frame the question, and that is, so with your classes that you're teaching in computing, how do you think you can actually bring culture into that project? And that culture is not just ethnicity. The culture is bringing the experience of the student. So it's gender, bringing the experience that the student has in everyday life to bear in terms of a project that would be appealing. Then lastly, I'm just going to wrap up with talking about pathways. And that is, as we look at different pathways to computing, oftentimes we think in terms of K through 12, then higher ed and grad school, but there are multiple pathways that can occur. And as we talk about pathways, I just want to talk about a trend. So with this graph, it's actually given the percentage difference between the BS and the associate's degree in computer science. And so it's taken from the IPEDS database for higher ed. And so what you're seeing, the aqua blue, okay, is for all students. And so what we're seeing is that, for example, in 2013, when we look at the percentage difference between BS and an associate's degree for all students, the BS was awarded about 30% higher than the associate's degree. When we actually look negative, it means that for that population, that ethnicity, for negative, there were more associate's degrees than bachelor's degrees. So it's very interesting when we look at all students, we're graduating more bachelor's than associates. And for any student, whatever degree level is good for you is wonderful. But just looking at trends, we see when we get to underrepresented minorities, we're getting to more associate's degree than bachelor's degree. And it's a very interesting trend. If we start to look at pathways, I just want to talk about one pathway that we've developed at Texas A&M, and that's what we call the Engineering Academy. And so when we look at the Engineering Academy, so it's actually motivated by two aspects. One is that Texas has the second largest estimated higher education enrollment across the nation. And here, if we look at the second, it has the highest percentage of students completing four-year degrees, who also enrolled at two-year institutions when we look nationwide. So at Texas A&M, looking at that aspect, we developed what we call the engineering academies, and we have 4 of our engineering academies that are sponsored by Chevron, in which El Centro College is one of them, Austin Community College, Houston Community College, and Texas Southmost. We also have regional academies, and I'll go into detail about what does it mean to be an academy, where it's Blinn College in both Brenham as well as Bryan. With the academy, what we have is that students apply to the two-year institution to be a part of the academy. They enroll at the two-year institution. We have Texas A&M faculty that relocate from College Station to the two-year institution. The Texas A&M faculty teach the engineering classes at the community college, at the two-year institution. And so students take one engineering class per semester, and the students are co-enrolled or dual enrolled. They're Texas A&M College of Engineering students, as well as students at the two-year institution. It's a really great opportunity, and it also saves a significant amount of money, about $50,000 in terms of the students and what they can save. So after a year, the students apply, like all the students in College Station as well, apply to enter a major. And that's because we have a general engineering program at Texas A&M. And so at the end of the first year, all students apply to enter a major. So students in the Engineering Academy apply just like the students in College Station. They apply, enter a major, and then that's when they relocate to College Station. So we find, and then graduate from Texas A&M. We find that to be a really great program because it allows students to start in the College of Engineering, but be local with their two-year institution. And so I just want to wrap up with that particular program where I want to present a video so you can hear from the students of what they have to say about the Engineering Academy program.
I would say that the Engineering Academy is a good opportunity for everyone. It helps you start out, kind of figure out what you want to do as an engineer before you transition the College Station and you're in your core classes. If you want to do chemical, mechanical, industrial, it gives you time to really think about what you want to do, and you're saving a lot of money while doing it.
I chose to apply to the Engineering Academy because it was an affordable option for me and my family at the time. I did get accepted here at College Station, but I chose to go with the more affordable option. My family is very proud of me. I'm the first in my family to go to college and graduate from high school, so they're pretty excited.
This is the opportunity to get to the university that I really want to, and then unfortunately I couldn't apply it right away from high school because of my financial situation. I was working full-time, 40 hours a week, and I needed to support my family, so I needed to balance work and school.
What I like the most about the Engineering Academy is being able to work as a family. You know, we have all grown close from the start.
Towards the end, we were like a big family. Everyone was very close. You know, made a lot of friends through it, and I really enjoyed my time.
Pretty much all of us that have transferred, that started in the academy back in 2015, feel like family. It's family.
I always like to end on a positive note with the students. So with that, I want to say thank you very much. It's been a pleasure, and I am available for questions. And I just want to emphasize a few things, and that is the importance of encouragement with students, the importance of engagement, and that is that engagement that allows students to bring to bear their experience. And that encouragement is throughout, is K through 12, higher ed, in terms of the projects that we have an opportunity to present to students. When we're able to engage them from their experience base, it goes a long way. And then also, as you all know, the importance of engaging parents in that conversation, because parents are very encouraging in terms of students at home, and that's complemented by the encouragement from the teachers as well as the counselors. So I know that very well because I have a 17-year-old now that's looking at college, and so that the counselor becomes really important for the students. So with that, I'll say thank you.
There's some questions, if that's okay. Sure. We have a little bit of time for some questions. Are there any questions that anyone would like to ask Dr. Taylor? If you don't mind what you guys are thinking about, I'm going to start with one. I was really struck by the information about girls really almost needing a little bit more of the social side of things to really encourage to go in there. Are there particular things in your experience that would be useful things to share with some of the educators at different levels here in the room about things that are the most successful in doing that with girls? You mentioned some of the after-school programs. Are there things sort of in school that work best for girls in bringing that side of it?
I think what works best with girls, and I've seen it firsthand with my daughter, and I've also experienced it, and that is in terms of group activity. But I also find that it's important to convey to the group what does it mean to have an effective group. And that is in terms of having a conversation about being supportive of each other and being constructive when someone presents an idea and things like that. But having that opportunity for group interaction and group projects. And I think one thing that comes up with girls in the dynamics of when it's an all-girls group as well as when it's a girls and boys group. I think that dynamic is also important because oftentimes, and we see it in the classroom, the boys will speak up regardless of wrong or right. They'll speak up. And the girls will often wait until they're certain that it's 100% correct, no doubt, and not speak up, and often think the answer is wrong. So I think the way, and this is what we see in our classroom, is that the way we interact, we look at giving the group a skill set of working together. And we also look at ways to facilitate the group interaction such that you may start off with a group where people have different roles, and then you change the roles as part of the group or the team project, is that they have to change roles throughout that project, because then in that way, it's not where one person will dominate and feel that a weaker person just put them off to the side to do something something trivial. So changing the roles, giving them a skill set, and looking at the dynamics of the group makeup.
Speaking of pathway to careers, so the trend is towards Internet of Things. Connected cars, sensors, and
Yes.
From an industry perspective and as an educator, we find the challenge to be in those areas. So as we go, driverless cars and
Right.
everything cloud, we find that we don't have enough students. We have to go offshore. How are we incorporating these future needs in the TAPIA conference, for example, or DevColor, as we look at the STEM program as a whole?
Okay, and I can address that. So I think that's an excellent point about the Internet of Things, and I think another hot area related to that is cybersecurity, because as you connect things, then you also have to make certain it's secure and the privacy becomes an issue. I think just nationwide within the field of computing, we're seeing a growth, which is really good. So we're seeing a growth in terms of the student population, the undergraduate student population in computing, and this is nationwide. But what we're seeing is that the interest in computing is growing faster, in many cases, than the departments are growing. And so that becomes the limitation. And the growth in computing, it's coming from both the enrollment in the classes because of the enrollment in the computer science program, but it's also coming from many other disciplines outside of computer science taking computer science courses, because as was mentioned, computing is used everywhere. So you have students at a university in the humanities that are taking a computer science course. So it is an important issue that is being looked at. Actually, there's a National Academy committee that's looking at the computer science growth that's occurring nationwide, and also looking at issues and barriers with that growth that may have to do with the increase in the resources. And that committee is also looking at the diversity as we have that growth. But it's recognized that it's needed, it's influenced and motivated by the job market, but it's also motivated by the interest. But that's an excellent point.
I'm really interested about the dual enrollment between the community college and Texas A&M University.
Yes.
I'm a high school teacher here in Dallas, and my student will be interested in that one. Is that only done in Texas A&M University, or other universities does that too?
And I'm going to go back. So it's done, so what happens, and I can send out, if you don't mind, I don't mind sending out the links to a number of things that were mentioned, including the engineering academies. But what happens is that students can apply now, for example, to El Centro College. So they apply through El Centro College to the engineering academies. And then when they apply through El Centro, Texas A&M works with the application pool for the admission decision into the engineering academy. But the application starts with the 2-year institution. And it's open now. It's available now. So it's through El Centro, Austin Community College, HCC, as well as Texas Southmost.
Is it just Texas A&M or other university does it too?
With the engineering academy?
Yes.
So this is a partnership with the 2-year and Texas A&M University. Students in the engineering academy can also go to Texas A&M Galveston, and that's because we have Texas A&M College Station has an ocean engineering degree that we offer in Galveston. So they can also choose to go to Galveston as well. You're welcome.
Other questions?
How long have the engineering academies been in operation? And what's the number of students basically that are coming out of each of the academies to A&M?
Okay, great question. So right now, the academies, we have I can give you an exact number, we have 663 students in the engineering academies. And that's the academies at Brenham, Bryan, also El Centro, and Houston Community College. Austin Community College and Texas Southmost will have students for the first time in fall 2017. And so the program started in fall 2014 with an initial cohort in terms of the engineering academy. And then fall 2015, that's where we had the El Centro and, well, actually fall 2015 we had Houston Community College, and fall 2016 El Centro. And so we're looking, right now we're at 663, and we're looking at growing that to about 1,000. Yes, okay. And we do end up with a good percentage of the students coming to Texas A&M College Station because they're already a part of engineering. So.
Other questions?
Do you have any programs in high school where they're getting college credit in high school through dual enrollment? And it also goes to the community college as well as to your university?
Right, so I am aware of dual enrollment in high school. For the College of Engineering, it's not where we offer a dual enrollment with the College of Engineering, but I do know that some high schools offer a dual enrollment with a 2-year institution to get college credit that way. But it's not where we offer it at the high school level.
What coursework are they taking at the academy prior to coming to A&M?
So they'll take their, let's say the first year, they'll take their 2 introductory or foundational engineering courses. Then they'll also take their math requirements, which is all the way up to Calculus 3. And they'll take their science requirement, which has to do with Physics 1, Physics 2, and a chemistry course. And then they also take their humanities as part of the core requirements. So they're taking the humanities, the math, and science are taken at the 2-year institution as enrollment in a 2-year institution, and the engineering courses are taken as Texas A&M College of Engineering student. You're welcome.
Hi, I was wondering what types of internships, externships, or job opportunities is Chevron offering the students who are to be coming into their corporation post-education, or is that something that they're still working out since it's so new?
Well, what we do is we encourage the students. We have a broad base of companies that hire our students. So, for example, in the fall, we have the largest student organized career fair in the nation. So we have about 450 companies that come in the fall to recruit students, and we end up with about 50 or so on the wait list. So we encourage students to pursue an internship, but we don't, I guess, emphasize one company or another, so that they have a broad base to work with, because a lot will depend upon their interests. Many of the companies hire a broad base of engineers in their different disciplines, but it's not where we encourage one company or another, we just encourage the internship.
My question is, do you see any difference in the success rate between those who come through the engineering academy and those who enter the program directly at Texas A&M?
Yes, and right now it's early because we've only had from the fall 2014 cohort, so we haven't seen the graduation rate yet. We do find, and I'll just talk about transfers, because we've had data with that population, and with the transfer population, we found a higher percentage in terms of graduation rate than students that enter in terms of first time in college. And that's where oftentimes with the transfer, it's where the students are a little more mature when they transfer, and they definitely know what they want at that point in time. So we have seen a higher percentage in terms of the graduation rate for transfers.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My question is based on something just earlier in your presentation around some of the data with early exposure and after-school enrichment, which is where I'm involved in. And I've seen that data in its true form where girls do not want to participate if their friends aren't participating, even if they're interested in the subject matter. What I struggle with sometimes is relating applicability when they're interested in fine arts or liberal arts and integrating that into computer science. If they, hey, I want to participate, but I really want to do theater. How do you integrate that, or where have you seen where there are some opportunities to introduce that content and get them excited about computer science, or some resources for that?
Okay, so and I have to tell you two little stories. So it's so true, because with girls in the group, and I have to share this story because my daughter participated in a computer science camp, and it was away. It was outside of Texas, so it wasn't where she knew anyone. So every 30 minutes, I was getting a text message. I don't know about this camp. I'm not certain if people are friendly. What are people doing? And so I called the coordinator to ask, can you just have one activity to bring them together where they have to introduce each other? So then I got a text, I'm having a good time, see you later. Just very different. But now back to the theater and computing. So there's different things that can be done. So I'll give two examples. One example, we had a computer science faculty work with some faculty in theater, and they were putting on this show, and it had to do with movement and motion. So what they did was they put on sensors on the dancers, and that became part of the show, was the motion of the dancers as well as their dancing. And it became the art in the background. And so they were really excited to see that merging. Another area that merges, like, for example, the fine arts with technology is visualization, or even digital storytelling. Because there, with digital storytelling, you're taking the English, the writing, as well as animation. So when you start to get to animation, you want to bring in the art. You don't want to, because I know I'm not in art, so when I do animation, it's a stick figure and that's all, nothing more. But when I work with someone in art, they have all of these, curves and the form, and they're going through what does it mean to truly have art. So when you combine those two, visualization is also a good area that combines the fine art technology and then the digital storytelling.
Let's thank Dr. Taylor again.
Okay.